Hey, this is Victor Ortiz, and in this video we're covering how to know if it's your intuition speaking or your ego. Now, the reason why this is important is when you can understand the distinction between your ego speaking or your intuition, you'll be able to actually make decisions that are in alignment with you. You'll be able to make decisions that put you in a position where you're feeling fulfilled. It's serving you. You're growing within yourself and in your own journey. Okay, it sets you up for success. But sometimes when we are too much in our ego mind, what happens is that even though we're trying to set ourselves up for success, that may be the attempt, we actually stagnate ourselves and pull ourselves back and extend the time and the learning curve of, where we could have been if we followed and listened to our intuition. So the first distinction to realize when we're trying to figure out how to know if it's our intuition speaking or if my ego is speaking is to know that our ego is more thinking it's the right thing to do and our intuition is more feeling like it's the right thing to do. Okay, so the reason why this is important is when you can understand that our ego works based off beliefs and limitations, you'll be able to pause and reflect when you're making certain decisions and realize some of the stories and ideas your ego tells yourself. So how this can look is, let's say, for example, you've been offered a job opportunity somewhere, but it's in another city. So the dilemma with that is, intuitively, you may be feeling like you want to go out and you want to take that job, but your ego is telling you that you probably shouldn't because of XYZ. Your ego is telling you this. That job is in another city, which means you won't be surrounded by your friends and family members who may be living around you, maybe in the same area, maybe in the same geographic location, or the same household even. It might be telling you, don't take that job. You're going to be away from your family. You're not going to be as happy. You're not going to be as fulfilled because you won't be around your family members or your friends who you spend, so much time with. Intuitively, you want to go because it feels right. You feel this connection. It feels like a subtle yes or subtle, inclination in you that's telling you, I do want to go out and take that job. But your ego is limiting you because it's too much in the analytical space. So how to know the distinction, ego or intuition? Ego is going to be more over analytical. So if you're trying to bombard yourself with reasons why you shouldn't take that job, why you shouldn't be in that relationship, why you should or you shouldn't do this based off maybe your past or it may be based off some of the limiting beliefs you have, recognize that's your ego. Okay? Now, your intuition is going to be more feeling. This means with that same example, with that job, you're going to feel a connection to go out there. You'll know it's your intuition when you don't care about the how and the why or the when of this all happening, okay? Your ego is going to try to figure out the how, what, when, and why of the whole scenario. It wants all of the details, it wants the full details before it wants you to make a decision. And you have to realize that it's not good or bad that your ego, your mind is doing this, but you have to realize it's part of our process. Okay, our critical factor, it's going to try to contemplate and fully understand the scenario before it even lets us move. And, sometimes that causes, what is it called? Paralysis analysis or analysis paralysis, something, okay? So know that if it's your intuition speaking in that moment, you won't care about the how and when. You won't even care of how that situation is going to look because you'll be too inspired just thinking about it, which puts a smile on your face to go ahead and take that opportunity. Because when you follow that intuition, let's say you take that job opportunity, what may happen is that you go out to that specific job, that location, and you might meet, your next spouse, your next husband, your next wife. You might meet, someone who just connects you with the right people, and your career, just takes off, it explodes. You might meet the right people and then put yourself in an environment where it actually provides more growth for you than if you would have not taken that job and stayed at home, stayed around your current friends and your current family members. Okay, so that's the first distinction. Ego is more thinking, it's right, keyword thinking, logical. Intuition is more feeling based. It's more of a connection, it's more of a subtle gut instinct that's saying yes or that's saying no. Okay, now I noticed in my own experience that there was times where I did certain things because I thought I was doing the right thing to do, right? But what I realized is that the more I was able to quiet that down, the more I allowed myself to organically follow what felt right. That led me to something that, made me even happier and more fulfilled. So the second distinction to realize is also ego is more forced. It feels forced. It feels like you're forcing yourself to do something or to not do something. It feels like you're forcing yourself to say something that you don't want to say. Intuition is more of a natural allowance. It happens organically. So in my personal experience, 2 years ago, my main thing, I was focusing on providing web design and marketing services for small local businesses. And I was doing that based off belief that I had to do that in order to be secure. I had to do that in order to be successful, in order for me to take off and be successful in life, even though I know that's not what fulfilled me. But I did it because I thought it was right. And the key thing to remember in the distinction between ego and intuition, if it feels forced, then it may be coming from the ego space. So in my, personal experience, when I was doing that and when I was working on that business, it felt forced to have to contact all these different business owners. It felt forced to have to network with all these people. But at the time, my intuition was telling me, focus on your craft, keep studying psychology, keep reading the books that you're reading, keep networking with those few people who are in the same space and genre you are, because that's where the growth lives. That's where my real community was. And that's what I had to realize. It felt natural and organic to wake up and want to read the books I did and take the courses I was taking. But when I was in my ego space and too over analytical of the situation, that's when I was making decisions that were unfulfilling to me. So the two distinctions to remember is that when it's your ego, it's going to be your thinking it's right based off your beliefs, based off your current programming. Intuition is more of going to feel like a natural connection. Second thing, if you're doing something that feels forced, it's probably coming from an ego-based space. If it feels natural and you're allowing yourself to do it, it feels organic. It doesn't feel like you have to punch yourself. You don't feel drained by doing it. It's probably coming from a space of intuition. So the next time you're in a particular moment or situation where you have to reflect and try to see whether it's your intuition or ego speaking, realize the programs and the beliefs that you have, quiet that down, and try to feel out within you for a subtle, a nudge that's telling you yes or no. This can be from the small things to the big things. This can be, dealing with your purpose in your career, or it could just be, you trying to figure out whether you should go out with that particular person or those groups of people tonight. Your intuition might be saying no, right? And gut instinct might be telling you no because it doesn't feel right and you have some work to finish. But your mind is telling you, you have to say yes to that person because of X, Y, and Z. Okay? So when you're in these moments, take the time to reflect on this and work with this over time, but learn how to practice giving yourself enough reflection time before you make that decision, and to feel out your intuition and feel out your gut instinct. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be uploading a video soon on how to work with your intuition more and different methods to practice working with it. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.